Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Um, it's so funny. So I have patio doors and I have one side closed with the curtains drawn to keep the heat out, but I have the other side open just to make sure the breeze is still coming through. And apparently, my doodle has not figured out that the other side is open because she keeps staring at me to go let her out. I don't know. Maybe that's nothing to you, but if you have a dog that's ever not realized the door's open, this is hilarious to me. Anyway, so today is such an important topic, but it can be, as my one coach says, a very polite punch in the gut to wake you up type thing. It's about if you're taking control of your life or not. Are you playing a victim or are you in control? And this is tough. This can be really tough to hear, especially those of us that are overwhelmed. We're trying to get our stress anxiety under control. I've talked about this before, how when we're overwhelmed, our survival mechanism is control. We become control freaks. We micromanage everything because our lives are so chaotic and out of control that this is the only thing that makes us feel like we have some resemblance of control over ourselves, right? So, and I know I've done this. I've been told in the recent past, a couple of weeks ago, that yeah, that I was being a bit of a victim, and I was like, I am not, especially because I help people overcome this. But we'll get into that, how being a victim can actually take many different forms and what to kind of be on the lookout for in regards to that. But it is tough because when we're in control and we think we're doing all the things and we're really managing well, even if we're not. That was me. I thought I was managing my life really well. I was not. I was a overwhelmed, stress, anxiety ridden basket case. um, we don't want to hear that we're being a victim. um, but this is where the victim of life, I'm not talking about like a victim of a crime, something has literally happened to you. I'm not talking about that. I mean a victim of life. Like literally life is happening to you. You have no control over it. Poor you. People who play the victim, they complain a lot because as I've talked about before, like if we're talking about the problem, if we're complaining about the problem, we're not finding solutions. We're part of the problem, right? I've talked about this a lot. Always be solution oriented. So if you're finding solutions, if you're being creative in that thought process of problem solving, you're not complaining, right? So these are it's and of course being a victim is a very negative place to be. This is the um oh, but I had to, what choice did I have? Well, I can't go do that. It's just a very negative complaining state. Again, everything happens to them. It'll be similar to, if you, for example, that lady who spilled hot coffee on her because she got her coffee from the McDonald's or whatever. And I'm sure there's tons of people that have done this. And you put the coffee with, let's be real, those lids pop off very easily. And she put the coffee in between her legs while she's driving. Okay. And then when the coffee spills, the lid pops off. She hits a bump. It splashes all over her legs. She burns herself. Oh, it's McDonald's fault. That coffee's too hot. That's being a victim. If you're problem solving, if you're taking responsibility for your actions, you would say, well, damn, that wasn't a smart move. I should not put hot coffee with that is easily spilt in between my legs while I'm driving, right? Note to self, lesson learned. So the real difference in mentality is, if you're playing the victim, you're always looking for someone to blame. Nothing is ever your fault. And this is what I mean. Everything happens to you. Poor you. Oh, everything just happens to you. Life hates you. Why does this always happen to you? And there's always other forces to blame. whether it's other people or it's just life ganging up on you. Everybody is to blame except you, right? And that's a big thing, because it's just this inability to take responsibility, or they don't, maybe they have the ability and they just don't want to, because it can be tough to actually sit there and be like, whatever my circumstances are in my life, the good and the bad, I've done this, I am responsible. And some people can't do that. So it's that everyone else is to blame. I have nothing to do with it. I am just this person in the river without any oars. I'm not paddling. I'm just going with the flow in the stream, and life takes me where it wants, and all the bad things are not my fault. And it's just a very sad place to be, because when you're used to blaming, when your go-to is to blame and complain, I mean, you just think about that sort of mentality of being negative all the time. Murphy's Law, of course it happened to me, just my luck. You're not a happy person. Like, how can that person ever truly be happy? You can't, because your go-to is to look for someone to blame every time something happens. I'm not saying that people playing the victim never are happy in their lives ever. There'll be little pieces, maybe there'll be little moments, but because it's poor you have to have something to complain about. So your natural is to revert back and find something to complain about, because I think part of it can be attention grabbing. So this is another big thing, guys, to really be aware of, is it can get to the point where if you've been in this victim mode long enough and you've been getting attention for it, everyone comes, everyone coddles you. It's like the bad child acting out negatively to get attention from the parents, right? They get attention, they're not getting any positive attention, they start doing these bad things, they start getting attention from the parents, it reinforces doing bad things to get that attention, and now we have that negative feedback loop of bad behavior. This is the same thing. You everything happens to you, poor you have such bad luck. People come, they hug, and they give you all this attention, feeding into that negativity and reinforcing, yeah, I should be a victim. Look at all this attention I get. And this is an extreme example, but I will say, guys, when you choose to do this, because everything in our life is a choice, hard truth. When you choose to do this, you are putting yourself in the same category as people, like, if you've heard of this mental illness, it's called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. That is where mothers purposely poison their children to get attention, to be a victim. Because when there's all these things happening, oh, your child is sick, poor you, attention, 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 right? These are the categories. Like, this is not a healthy place to be. That's an example of a very, very extreme victim mode. Like, literally, they have a mental disorder, they need to be treated for sure. That is not normal. But I'm saying, like, that is the type. Like, you do things, or you choose to not do things in order to cause problems, in order to be that victim. And you might not realize that most of this is subconscious, because 95% of our actions happen from our subconscious mind, which is why it is so important to understand ourselves and our subconscious. So people will usually not recognize, like, well, yeah, I totally purposely injured myself just to get attention. You'll be like, no, of course not. That's crazy. But at the same time, you might have left, you see the kids' toys all over, there's Lego everywhere, you get pissed off or whatever. And then subconsciously you don't clean it up because you're pissed at the kids or something, because that's gonna end badly for somebody. All of a sudden you forget, you walk into the room, you step on the Lego, oh my God. And let me tell you, stepping on Lego is really awful. But now all of a sudden there's a reason for you to yell. You're now a bigger victim. There's a commotion. There's a thing you can complain to your friends about. Oh, I just can't get these kids to clean up their toys. It's so bad. I stepped on their Legos again. Oh my God, I won't be walking proper for a week. La, 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 right? Whatever. And it doesn't have to be kids. It can be just anything. It's that subconsciously setting yourself up to fail, the self-sabotage. These are all being victims. So you have something to complain about because it's not your fault. It happened to you, right? So I hope this is, I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, where I'm going with this. Now, the real problem of this is, I mean, just think about it for a minute. People that complain all the time, people that are victims, people that are never responsible, everything happens to them. They're just floating down life and they just have to take whatever life throws at them. Do they ever succeed? Do you think they build businesses? Do you think they build wealth? Do you think they're investing, having multiple sources, like really broadening and making a great life for themselves? Well, how can they? They're not responsible for anything. They're waiting for things to fall in their lap, right? They are like permanent reactors. They don't respond. They don't take action. They're not go-getters. They're complainers. And maybe there's a few hybrid models out there that they try and I feel like it's one of those where you can be trying to better your life, but you haven't realized that you identify as that victim, and it brings you the benefit of that attention or whatever, because we stay in victim mode because we get something out of it, whether it's attention or maybe the more we cry to our parents, they give us money or something, right? There's something of benefit we get out of it. That's why we do it. So there might be that where people are trying to make better and they do a few good things here and there, but that self-sabotage will always come into play, because if you haven't gotten out of victim mode, you need something to happen to you so you can be the victim, so you can complain about it, so you can get your whatever you get out of it, right? So yeah, it's really a tough pill to swallow, but it's kind of like you wonder why there's so many people that sit at home and they just can't get out of their circumstances. But at the same time, you have to take that hard look of, but what are they doing to get out of the circumstances, right? And from my experience talking to quite a few people, it's usually nothing. You know, maybe they have the job's not keeping up with the increased cost of living, but they don't even think to maybe go get another job, switch jobs, maybe take a night course. Like they don't research what are potential options that maybe I could make this better. They just complain to other people that they should get a raise. And then they just keep on keeping on, hoping something will change. Right? Now, again, there's exceptions to every rule. I'm not saying that literally this is just a blanket. Every single person out there who plays a victim follows all of these rules. This is just the majority. The majority of people who are victims follow this pattern, right? It's kind of like there's the people where, the majority of people follow these patterns, these guidelines, rules, whatever you might call them. It is just how the victims behave. It's kind of like narcissists have just, here's their playbook of things that a typical narcissist always does. But you're going to have the 1% of them that actually realize they're narcissists and can pull themselves out and actually help themselves and make themselves better. So there's always exceptions to the rule. And that is also why it's so important to also talk about it, because if you're a person who's inclined to do better and make those changes, like if you're sitting there and you're like, dang, I'm feeling some of this, like, crap, am I a victim? Like, is this me? It's all right. Like, there's no judgment. I'm not saying this to bring shame or be harsh or anything like that. That's not the point of this. The point is just to have the awareness so we can catch ourselves, pull out of it, and do better. So, for example, my little story, and again, I'm one of these like, I got out of victim mode ages and ages ago, like over a decade ago. And it has always been like, okay, we need solutions. I need more money. Okay, great. How am I going to do that? Okay, I need to get out of this job. I need to do that. Can I get a second job? Can I do this? And I always just like problem solving, stay in that positive. How can I fix this? Right? So that's me. I do not identify as a victim. I don't want to be a victim. If you try and pity me, I will get pretty upset. I want nothing to do with being a victim, right? This is where that victim mentality can take a few different forms. So it had happened where I was kind of feeling sorry for myself. I didn't realize it, but I've been trying to achieve this thing in my business, and I've been working hard to level up and make it to the next thing. And I promoted this course, and things weren't going as I planned. And I'm I'm gonna say generically, I'm a pretty high achiever. When I work for something, I get it. Whatever job I've done, I've always been good at. I've always been successful. I aim to, like if I'm below 80, I'm failing. If I'm below 90, I can probably do better still. Like I'm the high achiever, right? So to be putting all this effort into something and trying this new thing and not get the results I want was very disheartening for me. And new. It was new to me to not achieve what I want. And I'm very, like, I understand I'm very spoiled in that way. When I want something, when I aim to get something, I do get it. But it's also because I aim to earn it. I go out, I do the job better, I get the promotion. That's me. That's who I am. So I'm doing all these things, but now I'm not getting the job. I'm not getting the promotion. And it hit me hard because I guess like I make my own luck for sure, but I'm lucky in life. I've made my good luck, but I have it, right? And so it really hit me, and I got kind of like down, and I just started kind of in this weird feeling sorry for myself. I didn't recognize it as that, but I was talking with my coach, and I was like, it's just really frustrating. I've tried these different avenues, and I'm just like, obviously, there's something I'm blind to, I'm not seeing that I'm missing. And I need to figure this out. Like, I just can't seem to figure this out, which can't, right? Terrible word. Shouldn't be using that. And she's like, sounds like you're being a bit of a victim. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, no. I don't play the victim here. I take responsibility. I know that there's something I'm missing here. I know that this is on me, and I just have to figure out what I'm missing. But I know this is a me problem. I'm not blaming anyone else. And she's like, I understand that. But are you hearing yourself? And of course, I wasn't really. And I was like, I'm not going to disagree, but I'm kind of going to disagree, right? And it's funny because after I get off the call, and I'm like, so I'm thinking about this, right? Because we can never just disregard something. Like, so I want to think about it. Like, am I being a victim? I don't think I am, but let's explore this. And then I'm doing dishes, and I'm listening to a workshop, and someone says something, and I got like, good for you. And I was, oh my God, I am being a victim. Holy. And I started like pouting and being jealous that this person, oh, they worked towards it and they got that new thing they were working on, and I didn't. Right? So this is where it wasn't that I'm playing a victim of life per se, it was just a tiny piece of it in this one little area. But it got me. Oh boy. Oh, I was like, dang, she is right. Like, Yeah. So I of course I had to come back and like, yeah, totally, you're right. I caught myself pouting. I didn't even realize it. And yeah, I definitely had to, do a lot of self-talk, really think on this. Where is this coming from? Yada, yada, yada. Right. And I mean, what helped me was that I think there's a lot of meditation to let go and surrender. That's kind of what helped me is the let go and surrender of, I know I will figure this out. I will get it. I just marketing's not my forte. I don't really understand it. I I market myself a lot in my own words, which are not the words that other people necessarily use. So I really struggle when I market things. So having something new to promote and get out there is a struggle for me. I understand that. So but I know I will figure it out because again, in the end, I always get what I work for. Always. I am so stubborn and determined. I get it eventually. I just stick on it. I'm like a bloodhound until I end of the trail. So I know I will get it. So I did a nice meditation. It was let go and surrender, where you let go of the need for the results and you just surrender to it'll happen when it's meant to happen. As long as I keep taking my actions, problem solving, thinking, brainstorming, what are new things? What can I tweak? Maybe I'll get another outside opinion here. Like, who can help me? What are things I can do to make this better? So, as long as I'm taking those actions, eventually I will figure it out, but I don't decide when, I don't decide the timeline. So I have to let go of my expectations and my demanding to get the results. I just have to know I will get them, but I don't decide when. And then I surrender to the process of just, all right, life, help guide me. And we'll see where it takes me type thing. Now, I want to clarify because it just popped in my head. When I say surrender to the process, that's not the same as being a victim of life. We're still taking action, we're still go getting. And the biggest thing is we're being responsible for our lives. That's the biggest thing. So, for example, a big one for a lot of people is like finances. Um, Nobody wants to admit that they got themselves in horrible debt. No one wants to admit, like, if you're in bad financial position, and I've done it myself, um, to sit down and be like, I did this to me. I have no money because I managed it improperly. I did this. If you hate your life and you're upset with how things are for whatever reason, maybe it's where you live, maybe it's unfortunately I'll say maybe it's the relationship you have with your spouse. Super common. Again, that's a bit of a sore spot for a lot of people, but it is very common. But these things in your life that you don't like, to sit down and say, I am responsible for this. Now, that doesn't mean you made it happen. It just means there's always choices. Example, your relationship. It might be that way. Maybe there's, you should have communicated. You should have sat down and had a talk. You should have done this, but you didn't. And you just own up to your part that got to you where you are. That's as simple as that is. And I will emphasize, never do this in judgment. There's no judgment, there's no blame. We're not doing this to have blame. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself, it just means owning up, standing up tall, and being like, yes, I've made mistakes. Here I am. And it's just a very logical process of taking ownership of where you are in your life so that you can move forward. Because if you can't admit that you are where you are due to at least some part on your own, right? Then you can't make it better because you're waiting for someone else because it's not your fault, right? So it's taking charge and be like, yes, I did this. I am where I am because of my choices. All right. And then it's just lessons to learn. Like when I was younger, I made very good money when I was younger. I did road construction and I made an obscene amount for someone my age. And of course, I was like 20, so I'm not responsible with my money at all. Even though I think I'm super responsible because I'm 20, we're not. And I ended up getting 32. or $34,000 of credit card debt. These aren't loans. These are not including my student loans. These are credit cards only. Because back then they used to hand credit cards out like bloody candy. And so I had to sit down one day, realizing after I'm done university, I have all my student loans. Now I go to get a job, realize that everything in my field, you have to like intern, start at the bottom. I can't afford this. Holy crap, I'm broke. This is where I stopped playing a victim. It was one of my first lessons where I sat down and I'm like, yeah, no one made me spend that. That's all my money. I did that. All right. How am I going to dig myself out of this hole? And I did. I put myself on a very strict financial diet. I didn't go out with my friends. I really became a homebody, and I fixed it. And I paid off all that debt. It took a while, but I did. But it's just that owning up to it, not for the sake to beat yourself up. How could you do that? You're so stupid. We don't do that. It's just literally, yeah, I did that. Whoops. Okay, how are we going to fix it? That's as simple as that is. I did that, acknowledge it. What do I learn? Take the lessons from it, because every mistake, every failure, all the bad things, there are lessons. And then what am I going to do moving forward? How am I going to make this better? Let's problem solve, right? That's where you see all these memes all over social medias, and you hear them, and it's in movies and all these things. Every successful person fails like 10 times before they succeed, because they're not a victim. So they don't see failure as failing. They see it as a learning curve setback. Okay, now I know what not to do next time. And then they go back out there, they try again, and they do better. And maybe they only fail once or twice, maybe they fail 20 times, right? But the point is, they don't let it get them down. They don't blame themselves. They just like, okay, this happened. Why? What can I do better? What can I learn from this situation? All right. And moving forward. That's as simple as that is. Truly, right? So this is a big thing, is this is why it is life happens for you when you take responsibility. You're a victim, life happens to you. Oh, you're not in control, poor you. When life happens for you, everything is either a gift, a success, or a learning curve. That's as simple as it is. You're either succeeding or you're learning. That's a pretty, I mean, now I'm just going to say my personal opinion, that's a pretty wonderful place to be, right? Instead of crying into your pillow, hating your life, waiting for something negative, just negative feelings, right? Or you can take the responsibility, head held high. Okay, what do I learn? How can I improve this? This is all positive. Like, you feel proud. Like, what can I learn from this? It's brainstorm. Like, even just, I don't know how to describe it. When I think, okay, what can I learn from a lesson? I get a good feeling about me, right? It's there's nothing negative. It's just so positive. So if you're always winning or you're always learning, you're always still positive. And I don't want to say happy, because no one likes failing. No one likes making mistakes. But if you look at it through that lens of, okay, this happened for me to learn something so I can do better, so I can get better, so I can be better, it's still a little gift, right? And in that sense, you can see how now everything is pretty positive. Everything is in gratitude. You know, you're even grateful for the fails, because you're like, but I learned. But this is the good that came of it, right? So I hope you're really seeing this. I know it can be really, really tough. Nobody wants to, hear you're being a victim. Like, it can be a tough pill to swallow, to realize. And it can be super, super difficult to just take responsibility. Like, if you're someone who's, never exercised, you've eaten pizza and cheeseburgers your whole life, and now you're in your 50s and you have heart issues, It's a tough pill to swallow to be like, I might have medical issues now because of my life choices. I might have actually shortened my lifespan. Maybe not. Medicine is wonderful. Our bodies are super resilient. Change your diet, change your exercise, and you can literally change your life. It's amazing. Our bodies are amazing machines, right? But it's that ability to just take charge. Oh, I now have type 2 diabetes, which is just I've eaten too much sugar in my life. All right, instead of whining and crying and be like, oh, I need to go on medication, hey, how can I make this better? Maybe I can improve my eating habits. Hey, this might actually help me avoid other diseases. Maybe this is a small gift to avoid a bigger issue in the future. So it's just taking all those in and really appreciating what life gives us, not throws at us, not what life smashes us, dumps on us, what life gives us. So that's where it's life happens for you to win, to learn, to succeed, right? So, yeah, I hope honestly and politely, as nice as I can, guys, if this triggered you, you need to think on it. If this offends you, kind of hurts your feelings, whatever it might be, it's because I've hit a sore spot with you, which means there's some truth to it. And somewhere in your life, you are probably playing the victim, which is awesome to recognize that, like, I'm being triggered. That means there's some truth to it that I don't like because it's a reflection on me. I need to think on that. So, even that, like, if this triggers you, take the gift. Life is making you aware of that victim mentality so you can learn from it and hopefully stop doing it, right? Like everything's a gift. Like, yeah, I just can't even how amazing life can be when literally everything is a gift, right? And you can think I'm nuts, that's fine. Um, but I'm happy and nuts, so take that for what it is, right? So I hope this helps, guys. I hope there's some benefit from it. Leave me some comments. Let me know if you resonate. Let me know if you've never heard of this before. Let me know that too. If there's things you don't understand, you need more clarification, reach out to me. I literally, that's my mission in life, is to help people. That's why I'm here. So if you feel like you need more info, you want to know more, you want to discuss it, you want to have a conversation, whatever it is, let me know for sure. And then, of course, as always, it is Thursday, which means it's practically Friday, which means it's pretty much the weekend already. So have a very, very wonderful